Oh, yes.
Here, hold this.
I'm sorry. I obviously like to make a lot of noise.
It's obnoxious, isn't it?
Oh my God, it's great. This guy's playing guitar.
Left-handed.
Oh, left-handed guitar.
Left-handed.
My son is a left-handed guitarist.
Come on.
Yes.
What does that mean, you think?
Um,
He plays with his left, he picks with his left hand?
you know, he's
That's what that
left-handed,
Okay,
but I bet his teacher's making him learn right-handed.
maybe.
So maybe it doesn't mean anything.
Everything means something. Hello, and welcome to Here Hold This.
Oh, crap.
Hey, welcome to Here Hold This, the moderately loquacious podcast that's part nonsense and part existential banter regarding life, leadership, and the things that we love. And this is Kellena Kane, and she is our esteemed guest today. Hi, Kellena.
Hi, thank you for having
Oh
me.
my gosh. Would you like to maybe like in 15 seconds tell everyone who you are?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So my name is Kellena Kane. I am a real estate developer. My passion is developing authentic, inclusive wellness spaces. And I am also a spiritual advisor and work a lot with energy.
Wow. That's a lot.
I'm bifurcated.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and you also have a family.
Yes, yes.
Right.
So I'm also a mom of 4 children. 13 is the oldest, 6 is the youngest, and married and living in the South Towns and really loving it.
Nice. We're going to maybe find out more about them.
Okay,
We'll see what happens.
sounds good.
All right? Well, they're charms. They're mini charms. And by the way, we would like to thank Charms for not sponsoring this episode of Here Hold This.
Yeah.
Yes. So why don't you start your own podcast instead of mooch off of mine?
You know, it's actually so funny that you said that because I do have plans to start my own podcast. And
come
maybe
on.
you can be my guest.
Oh,
so you
what's
can like return the favor.
Yes,
maybe someday.
I don't know. Like, maybe we do this first and then you decide whether or not you actually still trust me enough to come onto your podcast.
I won't invite him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. Yeah,
Okay.
but of course, yeah.
I'll hold the invitation. I'll wait till we're done here.
Yeah, I would love that. Do you know what I think would be super juicy? If you stop setting that down. So that actually that came from my wife Meredith, from her grandmother, Grandma Bernie, who was a wonderful woman who was very comfortable being herself, actually. All right.
Grandma Bernie.
Yeah, and she loved to have a good time, and she traveled a lot, particularly with her husband Andy. All right. And they went a lot of different places, and I don't know this for certain, but my sense is that they picked this up somewhere along their travels. You can see it's kind of oldish.
Oh yeah, I'm already
by
thinking
itself.
of like what you could hold.
Perfect,
for a good
perfect.
20 minutes.
Yeah. So
Cactus. Yeah.
I can't. Is it potted?
I'm not sure. It depends on how the rest of this goes.
Because I have consultancy. So we're clear.
Yeah.
So we're clear.
Because my background was in business and corporate leadership and startups, and simultaneously I've had this spiritual journey that has taken its own course, and now it has come up to be a part of me that's much more visible, hence the bifurcation of my businesses and my career. I'm really interested in what I love to call everyday magic, and I'm really interested in people's soul stories. I think that people don't talk enough about spirituality or, you know, the run-ins that they have with divine or fate or signs or whatever, but I think that most people have them. And I'm really interested in people's real life stories of when those things have happened in their lives and created a ripple effect that changed, you know, the course of where they thought they were headed. That's not fun. Come on, that sounds so boring.
Exactly. Where's the fun in that? Do you think we should wait for people to be ready for us before we are us?
No, because we already are us. And whether they're ready
That's
or
not
not. I mean, well, truly,
Ready or not.
I think,
Here Kellena comes.
yeah, it's really, truly been part of my own journey, my own, what I like to call self-discovery. We're all in this beautiful unfolding and becoming of ourselves. And if anything, I would say it's almost a homecoming to ourselves, right? Like we come in to this human experience and we're this really interesting composite. We're all a little bit different. We're all unique. But we kind of go through the gauntlet of systems and structures, you know, whether it comes from family systems, whether it comes from education, society, your neighborhood, your town. And I think those layers start to become dense and they start to shroud like our true selves. And so I really think that each of our lives is an opportunity. People don't have to take it, but it's an opportunity to almost come home to yourself. So I've already decided that I'm living my fully authentic, aligned life because that's what I need to do for me. And, you know, if people don't want to look at that, they actually can choose to look away.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like this podcast.
Yeah.
If you don't want to keep watching it, you can just go do something else.
Stop now.
But actually, I admire that about you. I like how much you are about being you and you're just doing it. And I think that's one of the things. So we haven't actually known each other all that long. Really, we've had 2 encounters.
Yeah.
And one of them was like in a group setting.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So anyway, so early in, but I like that about you.
Did I surprise you?
I don't know what to.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you're not gonna do that, right?
Well, heck no.
So did you really think you would get away with it?
Get away with what?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so yes.
Huh.
Yeah.
The entire time.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm on this really interesting path of my own coming home to myself, my own homecoming, soul journey, whatever. I really have this beautiful phrase, which those of you, which this is going to be on LinkedIn, this might get a little woo-woo. People might stop watching after this point. I'm sorry.
At this point? Okay.
Yeah, you're going to be able to see that like people stop watching after this minute.
Right here. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
So if you have ever heard of or are interested in laws of attraction or manifestation, which corporate speak is mindset. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing.
I like that. Did you?
Yes. I'm still holding it. I can't get in trouble.
No, you.
Do I have to hold it while I have my water too?
I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. Some of this, you're just gonna have to figure out on your own. You know, it's part of the fun.
Choose your own adventure.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
I have this beautiful phrase, which is everything is always working out for me.
Okay.
And yes, maybe on the surface that can sound selfish, but we've had some conversations in the past about the ability to do hard things, the ability to follow our heart, the ability to listen to our intuition, listen to our creative seeds that want to, settle in somewhere. Yeah. And in order to do something that hasn't been done, you sort of have to believe it's going to work out. You have to believe you're going to get away with it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right. Yeah.
So, there are some days I forget, that mantra. But a lot of days I like to remember, like everything's always working out for me.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
His given name?
Yes, Christopher.
His given name.
Yeah. Mostly goes by Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chrissy?
No, I don't know that I've ever called him Chrissy. Would that work, Chris?
I think I knew
Chrissy
one
Poo
girl
Poo?
that would call me that.
Yeah.
Get stuck. Not my wife.
How? I want to be careful how I say this. How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Now, if you're a music fan, or particularly a Dylan fan, but...
What I think is really beautiful is I do think that our lives are like a choose your own adventure story. Like, I don't know if you read those when
Oh
you were
yeah,
young.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I was the kid that definitely, like, when you came to the end of the chapter and they were like, if you choose to, like, you know, go to the castle, turn to page like 80. If you choose to like go back home, you know, turn to page 95. I absolutely would read both. So I think the number of seas that the white dove has to sail is really, part of it is our choice, you know? And I think that we make our own lives as easy and as difficult as we choose to make them.
Okay. Are you having fun?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, is this good?
Oh, yeah,
Really good?
so
Okay,
fun.
okay, cool.
So fun. I would also say there's no such thing as failure. And I think the other reason that I am happily, excitedly venturing into the unknown is because I really believe that everything's an experiment. And when you look at it that way, there isn't anything that's a failure. You just learn from it. You totally messed up on a pitch meeting. You know, made a wrong decision somewhere. I mean, yeah, some of those experiences could have major ripple effects, right? But they're all, we're playing in the sandbox of life, right?
Yeah.
Like we're learning through our interaction with people, but then through all of these experiences. And that's how we get better and know better and do better, right? Is by having the experiences. But you're right. Some people are just choosing to sit on the sidelines, which is okay. I mean, what I think is really beautiful about life is that we absolutely have free will. And so people can choose to sit on the sidelines and maybe they really love to cheerlead other people. You know, maybe they really like to do whatever they do.
Is that a sideline thing though? Because maybe that's like, that's
just their thing. Right.
You know?
Right. Well, you're right. I mean, so I hate labels,
Yeah,
but I'm saying that for comparison.
Sure,
for
I
conversation.
understand. Yeah, I'm not
But
trying to.
you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Yeah, like that may just be their thing and they're fine. But I would say if there's anyone that's in that seating area who is watching these other people doing really brave, big things, audacious things, if you will, being confident, being determined, taking risks, leading from their heart is a big thing for me. You know, trusting their heart, leading from their heart, and then bringing the mind in when you need the supercomputer. Our mind is just a computer, right? I would say to them, you can do that. Because just like you said, there's an element of that shiny thing that we see in others. There's an element of that in all of us. And it's really our own decision. Like how exciting. You get to choose whether you want to go through that threshold or not. And you don't have to go through it. I work a lot with my clients on just looking through the doorway. It's just awareness, I always say, is like the first step. So you can look through the doorway of an opportunity, of an experience, of an experiment, and you can just say, okay, that's an option. And then you can look into another doorway. And you don't even have to walk through the threshold, right? I think what I like is that feels safe to a lot of people. But so many people haven't even experienced awareness because some people feel like once they're aware, then they have to make a choice or they have to take action or they look through the doorway, now they have to walk through it.
You
you
get on
have
the
to
path
walk
and you
through
just
it.
have to walk.
No.
Is that the name? Is that the name of the podcast?
I can't say anything until I buy the domain.
Oh, I see. Sure. Well, I definitely know it's not. All right. And if it is, I hope you buy it today. And you're a champ with these questions. So of course, like
Thank you.
she doesn't know, right? That's part of the shtick. She has no idea.
I have no
what
idea
she's
what
going to
these
be
questions are.
asked. She didn't even really know the nature of most of the questions.
I didn't know I had to hold this
Right.
the whole
yeah,
time.
Exactly. Right. See. No, you have to hold that.
Oh, okay.
It's
Here, hold this.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
And not to diminish anything you just said, but you know what would be like incredibly powerful and brave
Yeah.
is if Chris were to help me get a warm up on my coffee. That would be, wow.
I don't feel I would be living my authentic self.
See?
Oh.
Stand up for yourself, Chris. You be you. Tell him to get his own damn
Would
coffee.
you like more water?
Oh, okay.
You sure?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you think people are ready for that on LinkedIn?
No.
No, but I think that occurred to me maybe a little over a year ago now. I don't even remember, but I feel like in the recent Erik history, I had this understanding that like the people that I have admired in the past, maybe they're like iconic individuals that somehow symbolize the sort of impact that maybe I hope I might be able to make through, my talent or my my efforts. And I've noticed in myself, or I had noticed, this reluctance to maybe really like go for certain things, right? Or to really like assert who I am, right? Or to even believe perhaps in a level of possibility that you could clearly observe in others around you, right? And I thought to myself, I don't know what locked it in for me, but I was just like, you know what? Those people weren't magic. What was the phrase you used about magic earlier?
Everyday magic.
Everyday magic. He's just so good. Everyday magic. So like, I think like, they weren't magical though. All right. But they did magical things, right? And I think, because like, so there's this idea, and this is gonna, maybe I'll go out to come back in. Like there's this idea, in psychology of projection, right? And you project what's in your shadow, the things about yourself that perhaps you reject or you don't acknowledge about yourself, but they are there and they still come out.
Yes.
And they usually come out onto other people or other things. And a lot of times when we think about our shadow, we think about negative things, right? But there are, quote, positive things about yourself that are not conscious to you that exist in your shadow. And they can come out too, and they can be projected. And I think that's what hero worship is, all right? Is when you see in someone else a quality that perhaps you possess, but you don't recognize that possibility in yourself yet. So you worship it in them, right? And I've definitely been guilty. I'm guilty, but like I've been subject to that, right? And so I think these people, these heroes that I have, these people I put on a pedestal, well, when you study them more, maybe sometimes you're fortunate enough to get to meet these people and get to know them. And I've heard someone say, do not meet your heroes. Because if you meet your heroes, you'll realize that they're just people.
Well, right? No one gets a free pass in a human suit.
Exactly.
So you'll be disappointed.
Yeah. So like pulling it all together then, it occurred to me, they just thought they could get away with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
They weren't like, I'm magic. They're just like, I have these ideas. I'm going to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm going to see what that does.
Absolutely.
And I find they also are better promoters of their successes. And it's not that they deny their failures. They just shine more light on their successes. It's not like these people are perfect. It's not like everything they do is amazing.
Yeah.
We just see the stuff that worked. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know this was going to be a LinkedIn.
So, I mean, we,
I didn't know it was that audience.
yes.
I would have worn my suit.
Because then they would listen to you.
I didn't burn them all.
Then they would listen to you, yes.
Again, I don't want to misquote, but I think it was Langston Hughes that said, what happens to a dream deferred? And I have that quote next to my computer, and it's so hugely inspirational because we do feel afraid. We feel afraid to do bold things and big things. But that's why for me, in my own journey, I have really started to identify my mind from my heart, because our heart is what supports us to do hard things. Our mind is who's going to talk you out of it and give you 1,001 reasons not to do something hard.
Sure.
But, really feeling like what's in your heart and what's important to you and what matters to you. And again, what's really, you I know feel that we owe it to ourselves to fulfill that purpose. And for me, I feel like we all have a choice. I also feel like we come and do this several times. So, you know, it is a choose your own, you know, adventure story. But yeah, it's those inflection points in our life, which for some people, they may never have that or feel that. They may shy away from it, and that's fine. They're still living a beautiful whole life in what they're choosing. And other people, they may experience that inflection point 2, 3, 5, 10 times. It's so powerful. And it's like a quantum leap in your life. It's like so fun and exciting, and it takes a lot of bravery.
Hey, have we met?
Only a couple times. We're like just scratching the surface.
Scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
My mom, she is also a very wise woman, has always said that any big decision that you make in your life is not set in stone. You know, one, that gives us the fortitude to make big decisions, but it also reminds us that we live in an agile, nimble, ever-changing world. Like if it was your big decision, it was right for year 1, and then year 2, you're like, whoa, this doesn't work anymore. Change it.
Yeah. Emerson says that, you know, like decide what you decide today and go for it.
Yes.
And tomorrow you feel differently.
Yes.
Change your mind.
Yes.
It's a paraphrase.
Yes.
I've heard so that what you're describing, what your mom talks about, which sounds awesome. She's
She's awesome.
awesome.
Yeah.
Is that I've heard someone else say, like, the conversation is always open, right? Like, we have a conversation with someone and we think, oh, well, there it was. And, oh, I didn't say this thing, or I didn't, like, go back and say,
Yeah.
hey, about that thing,
Yeah.
right? The conversation is always open.
Yeah.
So I think it sounds similar to what you're describing. Backing up just a little bit, when we were talking about maybe the metaphor of sidelines versus whatever, I think sometimes perhaps, like, and there's no perfect analogy or whatever, right? But sometimes you're on the field, and sometimes you're on the sidelines, and sometimes you're in the stands. And I think it's okay that we can play different roles
Yes.
with different sets of circumstances in our lives, or with different people, right? Like,
Yes.
I might be a sideline cheerleader for someone. Well, I have someone when I'm on the field who's on my sideline.
Yeah.
And I have some people that are just in the stands watching. And sometimes I'm just that guy in the stands that's watching the thing play out.
Yeah.
And that doesn't necessarily have to be like well, then that's a problem. Because maybe sometimes, because I get value from just being in the stands sometimes.
Of course.
And honestly, in some things, I shouldn't be on the sidelines and I shouldn't be on the field. But maybe I might aspire to be on the field someday. Well, it doesn't suck to start in the stands, right?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe you work your way down there. So anyway, and I'm catching this because we were talking earlier, and I think the way you think is you have a very open way of thinking, and you try not. It seems like you maybe you're try or are good at not getting trapped down a particular corridor and thinking, oh, well, there isn't a door over here and a door over there in the way that you think. So it just kind of occurred to me that maybe it's not quite as linear. It's maybe a layered thing.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and depending on
It's
circumstances,
absolutely
we show up differently, right?
Yeah. And actually, you know, it's exhausting to be on the field in every area of your life, in every situation. I mean, that's exhausting, right? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot for someone to always be in that role of like always on. And I think that someone who is always in the stands, I think they probably have opportunities to shine and have other people cheering for them, right? But again, I think the roles that we naturally fall into, especially out of college, you know, maybe even during high school and college, but then definitely, you know, younger professionals, I feel like historically those reflect, you know, the systems and structures and programs of our childhood. And then we have an opportunity to become aware of that and then decide, like, yes, I still prescribe to those. Yes, this is still a match. Or no, I want to shake it up. I don't want to be in the cheering section. I want to be on the field. This is my unique self. This is an area where I know that I could be on the field, right?
And I think that's the moment that we were talking about earlier. It's when you know that, that's when you have to say, I'm not supposed to be in the stands, or I'm not supposed to be on the sidelines.
Yes.
How do I get onto the field with this? And I think that, to me, is going back to some of our lunch conversation. Like, that's what I mean. Like, when you know that, I think you have a responsibility because you're feeling that for a reason. Right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I believe that.
It's part nonsense and part existential banter.
Oh, yeah, that resonates with me.
Leadership, and the things that we love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that actually sound okay?
Yeah, it actually sounds
like something you want to participate in?
Yes.
I think I know the answer to this question, but if you could, would you?
Depends. I think for me, I really do follow my heart. So, I mean, I think a lot of us could do a lot of things. I mean, I could walk out on my family and go to Europe and just completely not talk to them. And I wouldn't do that.
That is...
So, right?
I just...
If I could, would I? I think it really depends. For me, and this again is just my personal philosophy that I've discovered through living my experiment of my life, is that I have a really great intuition and a really great connection. So for me, it comes from my heart. If something is in my heart, and if I could, would I, then it's a yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that actually takes me to my next question, and maybe you just answered it, but if you would have a different answer, go for it. And I am making an assumption with this question. Why do you love who you are and what you do?
Can I interrupt for just a sec?
It's running right from the top. So have we met? So the question was, before Chris so rudely interrupted so that you could re-up your parking pain, right? The question was, why do you love who you are and what you do?
Okay, so why do I love who I am? I'm going to take that in and of itself.
Okay.
I think that self-love is literally the key to everything. So, you know how earlier we were talking about, witnessing people and their lives and their decisions, and how I really feel like it's all a reflection of what's on the inside. Imagine if what was on the inside of everyone was love. How juicy is that, right?
Yeah, that's super juicy.
So for me, I practice, what I like to use with my clients, what I like to show as an example to my kids. And if everyone can get to a spot of self-love, then that's really what's on the inside. It's being reflected through all of our life choices, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that was just a given that I was going to embrace self-love. And obviously there's different seasons and there's different, circumstances where you dip back into self-doubt or negative self-talk or stories that no longer serve us, or, on and on and on. I think that's normal. That's part of the human experience.
Yeah.
But for me, I am always coming back to self-love. I think that's the formula. And why do I love what I do? Well, I think that I am truly always following my heart. And so even before I resigned from, my 9 to 5, which just happened a few months ago, that phase of my life, I still loved what I did. And I think I've just always felt very confident in following what I love. And I think what's so fun is that what brings us joy, what we love, what brings us excitement, even where we're curious, to me, those are all clues of things that might unfold. And so if you can find that in your job, or if your job is just something that you accept because some people are at a spot where they just need the job to pay the bills. But if they can find joy or curiosity in other aspects of their day-to-day, with their pets, walking in nature, meeting with friends, I don't know, that all sounds like really juicy. That sounds like people and places and things that you want to be around, right?
100%. That's cool. I'm really trying to really focus and hear what you're saying, but I'm very distracted because you set it down again.
Oh God,
I really need you to hold it. I know I said at the beginning, I know I said there aren't really any rules here. So, I got one more question before we do a thing.
Okay.
And then we are done.
Okay.
Okay?
Check.
What do you think makes a great leader? What do you think makes a great leader?
I think it's a good question. It's something I've pondered a lot lately. I think a good leader is someone who is a conscious leader. They're aware. They see the good in people, but they're not they're not being hoodwinked. They don't have rose-colored glasses. They live in reality, but again, they're filled with love and self-love, and so I think they inspire people. I think a good leader is authentic. I think a good leader has really reined in their own ego. Sometimes looking at what doesn't make a good leader highlights a good leader. So, for example, I think there are some leaders who are so ego-driven that they want to surround themselves by yes people. And they bring down companies because they don't want anyone else in the room to be smarter than they think they are.
Sure.
That's catastrophic, right?
Insecurity. And a lot of leaders are insecure.
Well,
people are insecure and leaders are people.
Yes, 100%, right? I think, those are the big traits. I think they have a vision. I think that a good leader has to have vision, not just for whatever organization or group that they're leading, because leaders could be community leaders, community activists. They could be nonprofit leaders. They could be leaders in their other organizations in their lives, in businesses and whatnot. I think that they have to have a vision of where they see that organization, but I also think the best leaders have a vision and a dream on a bigger scale. And usually the group that they're leading, they see how that fits in to the even bigger picture. And most really...
The leader helps the group see how the group
Yes.
fits into the gotcha.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so the best leaders really are striving for impact, in their community or in their town or their country or in this world. And I think those are our best leaders.
Cool. I would like to be a leader like you just described.
Oh,
that would be amazing.
Well, I will cheerlead you. Okay. I will be cheering you on in your pursuit of being a fantastic leader, because I don't think we can have too many leaders, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think there are all places and spaces in our community and world where we need good leaders.
Cool. Well, I love your definition.
Thank you.
Great. Let's give it a shot. And if we screw it up, we'll try it again. Christopher, get the wheel.
Oh, Lordy.
No, it's Christopher.
The wheel.
The wheel.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh my goodness. What is this? Oh my gosh. You guys are so funny.
This
What is this?
is the wheel. As you can see, it is of a rigorous, high-quality construction.
I am really impressed, guys.
Thank you.
Wow. Are these like dum-dums?
So what we're going to do is I'm going to hold this, or you've kind of seen this, you've watched game shows, right?
Okay.
And you're going to spin this wheel. And then it's going to land on one of these. And there's a question, our final question, that is associated with each of these, all right? So depending on which thing you land on, will determine our question.
Okay.
You game?
I am
Why
totally
don't you get a couple practice spins just to get a sense for how it works? Right, I mean, there you go, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, give it a little, yeah.
This is like Price is Right.
Perfect, okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Can I let this go to,
No, you actually can't, no.
Okay, all right, here we go. Ready? It's so bad.
And Chris, it worked though, it worked. It didn't make one full revolution, but I think we're going to allow it. Chris, question 8.
According to Burt Bacharach and Hal David, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing there's just too little of. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. No, not just for some, but for everyone. What do you believe the world needs now?
Love. Sweet love.
So they had it.
I mean, I gotta say, it's kind of a theme of our whole conversation. Again, it's like a logic equation, right? That if every person's actions and reactions is a reflection of what's inside of them, and if the goal is for everyone to have love inside of them, because then all of their expressions and decisions and actions would be coming from love. To me, that sounds like heaven on earth. So I would say love, but I would even take it a step further, and I would say self-love. I really think that we're at a very interesting inflection point in our country's history, maybe, humanity as a whole, that there's a lot of hurting people. Like, there's a lot of hurting people with a lot of hurt inside. And if they so choose to look there, again, free will, and if they really, illuminated those corners and areas of their lives, of their circumstances, of their stories that they haven't wanted to look at before, illuminated it with self-love, it's just hard to diminish and dissipate, that heavier, denser experiences and circumstances, which they've already happened, right? I don't know, that feels like all of those people would then be banging the drum of improving everyone else's lives and our communities and doing good, impactful work.
Sign me up. No, seriously though, in the words of a very knowing, I think, an insightful woman that I've recently met, I would say that sounds super juicy.
Yeah, super juicy.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Will you hold on one second, actually?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, hey, thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here. This was a little bit, you used the term experiment earlier.
Yeah.
This is kind of like it. The way we run this is kind of a little bit like an experiment.
It's so fun.
Let's sit someone down. Let's tell them just enough to get them to sit down in front of the camera and start peppering them with questions.
Absolutely.
So anyway, you, again, are a champ. Thank you so much. I'm very thankful to know you. And I'm excited to see what happens for us as burgeoning friends. Is that too
Yes.
strong of a word, friend?
No.
All right, cool.
We can be friends.
Awesome.
We can
All
be
right, so
friends.
burgeoning friends. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thanks again for being here. Kellena Kane, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm grateful to know you and be here as well.
Awesome.
Thanks.
That's a wrap.
I thought you wanted to just
It's
talk
very
outside.
presumptuous.
Well, what you were laying down, I was picking up on.
Yeah.
I felt like you were having fun. This
Yeah.
is going to be like
Yeah.
a 5-hour podcast.
I did say that earlier.
I'm kidding you.
So do we have to restart?